What are the 6 obstacles to mindset change and manifestation? Episode number 4. Welcome to Positively Rebellious, a podcast on our inner transformations, how to manage our mind and emotions as we are going through different journeys, ranging from weight loss, from procrastination to creativity, and our inner healing journeys. I'm your host, Joanna, a certified coach and a hypnotherapist. Welcome. Today we are talking about obstacles to mindset change. In the previous episodes, I talked about changing our mind, how we need to change our thinking if we want to create something new, reach goals, lose weight, and have better relationships. Every area of life, even the smallest things that bother us on a daily basis, we can change them by changing our thinking. In this episode, I want to go through the obstacles, the ways we sabotage the transformation. So simply put, the obstacle is simply another contradicting thought. But as I was thinking about the ways it happens, I put those thoughts into 6 categories so that it's easier for us to recognize when that happens. So before I get to the 6 categories, I want to give you real life examples. Because what does it mean when you want to change something and something gets in the way? This is simply another contradicting thought. I will give you an example of a procrastinator, a person that wants to stop overspending, and a person that wants to stop overeating. The thought that procrastinator needs to believe in is the time to do this is now, or now is the time. Usually what makes us procrastinate is a thought, I don't want to do this. I have something else that I want to do now. This is too hard, and I'm going to do something easier now. And what we need to start believing is the time to do this is now. But the sabotaging thought is, I will do it later. I need to do something else. I still have time. So why is it so hard to believe the new thought and act on it? It actually doesn't need to be hard. It has to be only practiced and believed. Possibly there is another bridge thought that is more believable at this time that we need to find. This is what it's hard. Taking actions against your feelings. But when you align your thinking first, taking the right action will be easier because it will come from the right feeling. Another example of mindset change is for a person who shops too much. Maybe she or he got into big credit card debt because of their overspending. So the thought that was getting them in trouble was, I need this now. You know how it is. You see something beautiful and you think you need to have it. The action that would help them to get the results of clean credit cards, paid credit cards, is not buying more stuff. So that would be the non-action. Excessive shopping is a way of running away from some discomfort, way to make ourselves feel better. And the thought that drives excessive shopping is, I have to have it now. In the new mindset that creates the paid off credit cards, the dominant thought needs to be, I don't need it, or I already have something like this, or I don't need it now. And my favorite, just because I want it, it doesn't mean I need to have it. While you are practicing this mindset, the obstacle thought will be, I need it now. Money coaching is very similar to weight loss coaching. The person who accumulated debt says a lot, I need to have it now. The person who accumulated the extra pounds says, I need to have it now. This is their current mindset. Between the wish to create something new and the manifestation of it, there is a space, and your old identity will have a lot to say in that space. You will be falling backwards for some time. Your survival mechanism will have a lot to say. Between the desire to change something and the moment when you start showing up in a new way, there is a space. You need to do things in that space to create what you promised yourself. So what are the ways our own mind is slowing down the process of change, even the change we desire? Let's find out. Number 1, not practicing long enough. Number 2, practicing thoughts you don't really believe. Number 3, looking into the past for proof of what you can do. Number 4, you are undecided. You confuse the universe or yourself in the same sentence. Number 5, you can't tell apart the thoughts coming from the primitive brain and the evolved brain. And number 6, when you fall off the wagon, you make it mean something that is not helpful. So let's talk about all of those obstacles in details right now. Number 1, not practicing the new mindset long enough. Quitting on the change. I know it can be really frustrating. Things are not happening for you as you planned. You have a goal and it doesn't happen. But it means you didn't happen to it. You didn't practice long enough. We practiced the old thinking for such a long time, and the brain learned, delegated it to the subconscious to be efficient, and now it runs on the autopilot. This is why it's hard to change. So you are not only changing your conscious thoughts, you are changing the subconscious. To change, to become who we want to be according to our intentional vision for our future, we have to stay aware of the mind, rehearse the new thought, practice it until it's on the autopilot, and the brain, to be efficient, delegates it to the subconscious mind. Number 2, practicing thoughts you don't really believe. Remember practicing affirmations in the 80s and 90s? After a while, you would give up because it was like telling yourself lies. But the key to the affirmations was to create a believable statement, believable thought, and to face the other thoughts that got in a way, that came to the surface as an obstacle. So often those affirmations were about self-love. If you can't believe the thought, I am lovable as I am, it's easier to say, I open myself to the possibility that I am lovable as I am. Or it is possible that I am lovable. So you see, you just add few words, I open myself, and it softens the statement and it is more believable. There is a skill to leaving behind the old thoughts and thinking, believing something you never believed before. So imagine that there is a gap in between where you are now with your goal and where you want to be. You need to create a bridge. The bridge is a thought. You may think, I'm getting this done. But more likely, with goals that take longer, the bridge has many supporting parts on it. Many supporting thoughts, bridging thoughts that will get you from one side to the other, one step at a time, not in one leap. You need to believe every one of them. And if you don't, maybe you went too far and you need to take a few steps back and create a different thought. Number 3, looking into the past for proof of what's possible for you. So that's another obstacle, a big one. When we think that the only thing that's possible in the future is what we can prove looking at our past, how are we ever going to create anything new? I know that many people are looking into the future, they want something, but they are full of uncertainty and doubt because they are looking into past for proof. But imagine that it is possible to also think about your future while holding the vision of your new belief, holding the vision of what you want, and feel inspired by what you see in your future. When it happens, you start creating from the future. Sometimes the new thought doesn't stick because we look to the past too often for proof of what we can do. We think that the future will be the continuation of the past. We drive forward looking backward. In my personal coaching, when I coach myself and I let others coach me, I had difficulty connecting to the future self for some time. I did it in a really clumsy way. I didn't connect emotionally to the future. I felt like I am pretending. And it must have been about 2 weeks or a month, I don't know, of practice when I started feeling the ground underneath my future self's feet. Like everything, creating, thinking from the future is a practice. Number 4, the fourth obstacle to mindset change and manifestation is you are undecided. You confuse the universe in the same sentence. You say you want something, you put comma, and then you say that maybe not, maybe you don't want it. And this is so hilarious to hear it from other people. Like I know somebody who does it all the time. And sometimes when I hear myself say it, I'm really questioning what am I even saying. So let's say you think that you want a house, you want a new house, but maybe not, but maybe you are fine in this one. I'm going to Canada, but you know what, maybe I'm going to Mexico. And the universe says this: I've been working on the ticket for you for some time to Canada, and now you are changing your mind and you want to go to Mexico. Or, okay, I have been aligning the things for you to get you the new house, but then you say you are fine in the apartment. Okay, I am not going to argue with you. So whatever it is that you want, just choose it and be happy with it. So when you are undecided, it's like staying on the intersection and there are 4 roads going in 4 different directions, and you take few steps one way, then you're undecided and you come back to where you were. Then you take few steps the other way, and then you have some doubts and you come back. So I know that sometimes you have to figure out some pros and cons. You have to tune into your heart to know definitely what it is that you want. So it may take some time, but often we stay so long in this space that we are paralyzing the progress just by being undecided. It takes a lot of energy to maintain the state of indecision. And the way I experience it with myself, I have a lot of ideas. And when I want to work on something, I start working on it, and then I retract because the other ideas calls my name. And then I feel like I'm leaving them behind. So I start working on those. And then actually, I think that the other thing was more important. So I come back. And I think this example was something that I want to cover in another upcoming podcast, specifically for the creative types that have a lot of ideas and they don't know what to choose. Number 5, the 5th obstacle to mindset change and manifestation is you can't tell apart the thoughts coming from the primitive brain and the evolved brain. And should I add, mostly the thoughts coming from the primitive brain will not get us what we deliberately want to create. They will get in a way. Example, you consciously want to write a book. Your evolved brain gave you this idea to write this book. It's very important for your own self-development, for your own creativity, maybe for sharing the information, maybe for sharing the teachings or sharing something beautiful that you created. And you will have a lot of thoughts about it. So all the thoughts that are coming from the evolved brain, that are propelling you to do the work, they are amazing, beautiful, they are energizing you. Until you sit down to actually do the work, you'll have a lot of thoughts in this moment, all over the place. Some of the thoughts will help you write the book. Other thoughts will keep you stuck in the draft stage forever. The evolved brain will help you write the book. The primitive brain will keep you in the draft stage. But when we know what thoughts come from the primitive brain and what comes from the evolved brain, the solution is clear. Remember, the brain is operating in the motivational triad, which means it wants you to avoid pain, seek pleasure, and preserve energy. Now imagine that you sit down to write something. This takes effort. Mental work takes effort, and the primitive brain will tell you something like this. You don't really have to do this now. There is still time. By the way, you should do something different right now. Something else is more urgent. Aren't you hungry? So those are all thoughts that will lead you away from your desk, from your workspace, if you don't know where they are coming from. And you are going to believe them. And that means you will delay your work because you will seek instant gratification of the pleasure. Another example of your primitive brain trying to get in a way is when you are about to finish your work of art or your book, anything really. It will tell you that it's not good enough, that you still have to revise, because it anticipates opinions and judgments of others. It will want to protect you from them, so you avoid the pain. And very often we leave our work unfinished or 98% done, and we are not sharing it with the world. So tap into the evolved brain. What does your evolved brain want you to do? And remember, this is the part of you that wants you to grow, to create, and to evolve. Obstacle number 6. We follow the wagon and we make it mean something, instead of getting back on it. And I know there's really no wagon out there, but the wagon is the habit. So let's say you have a habit, positive habit. You have been doing something positive for yourself every single day for 2 weeks, and then suddenly you can't. And something gets in the way, your schedule gets shifted, and then you discontinue. Few days passes by and you realized, oops, I'm supposed to go back to the habit, but you made it mean, the fact that you stopped, you make it mean that maybe you don't have what it takes. And you think that you need to start over. So it's very important what you think about the habit and yourself right in this moment. Are you really going to give yourself a hard time every single time you take a break from the habit? When you think you need to start from the beginning, it's not even true. You already proved to yourself that you can do it for some time. You can simply continue. You keep building upon what you have. Practice makes permanent. So let's go through all the obstacles again. Number 1, not practicing the new belief long enough, quitting. Number 2, practicing thoughts you don't yet believe. Number 3, looking into the past for proof of what you can accomplish. Or being undecided, confusing yourself in one sentence or in one day, saying you want something, but maybe you don't. Number 5, you can tell apart the thoughts coming from the primitive brain and the evolved brain. And number 6, falling off the wagon and making it mean that you have to start anew. So thank you so much for listening. I will see you in the next episode soon.